Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Ammerman. I'm the author of the book, The Integrated Leader, which is a book on how to discover and fulfill God's calling in your life. What is your calling, and how do you know what that is? And then once you know what it is, how do you do it? You can order this book at Amazon.com, or also you can find it through my website, drpeterammerman.com. Now, in our last session, I shared with you we were talking about Nehemiah's consecration. That is, what he was willing to do without, about fasting, and the things that we're willing to sacrifice to accomplish God's purpose for our life. But now this session, we're looking at Nehemiah's credit to God. That is, he recalled his history and that who he was as part of the people of God, the people of Israel, and his place in God's work in building the walls of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a very important city for the people of God, the people of Israel. And so he looked at the past as to what God had done with them in the past. And here's what he says in Nehemiah 1 and verse 5. O Lord, the God of heaven, the great and awesome God, who keeps his covenant of love with those who love him and keep his commandments. I want you to focus on that word covenant, because that's what he was recalling. Covenant is a relational term. He recalls that God had a relationship with his people in the past, and he started thinking about that and praising God for all that God had done with his people in the past. He recalls people like David and Solomon. It goes back into Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. And then the building of the city of Jerusalem, particularly under David, and then the building of the temple under Solomon. Well, now, as he recognizes that the city, which had been destroyed, needed to be rebuilt, he had to look at his past and say, okay, we recognize that we've been taken captive. We've been in Babylon for this period of time, but now we have a purpose as we're now back in the land to rebuild this city as a symbol for the people of what God has done, not only in the past, what he's doing now, and what he's going to do in the future. And so, as he recalls this, he is starting to get this sense, a deep sense of his own purpose and his own calling. And for you and me, that means that you and I also, as the chosen people of God, as we've been reborn through faith in Jesus Christ, that we have a sense not only of where we are in the present, but we look at the past as to what God has done through the church in the past and what he's doing now. And we start thinking that because even despite many things that we've gone through, despite opposition and harassment and ill treatment and persecution, all of those things, that the church of God will not only survive, but that we will flourish because God has a covenant relationship with us. And so the application for you and me in the book is to take the time to thank God for what he has done, not only in the church in the past, what he's done in your life in the past, to know your place in history as you have a purpose before God, and to thank him for what he's already done. And so there's an application question in the book where you do what's called a life graph. And a life graph simply is take some significant events in your own life and start thinking about how God was with you in the ups and the downs of your life, how he was with you and how he was accomplishing a greater purpose in your life in the past. And now you start thinking about, okay, God, I know what you've done with me in the past. What are you going to do with me now and in the future?